There we go. This one's activated as well. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Bitcoin Talk. Now, my apologies here in advance. As last time, I'm going to be streaming on two platforms at the same time using two computers. So bear with me if I am getting a little bit put off guard by reason that I'm manipulating both screens at the same time due to lack of having a professional setup. Anyway, welcome to this episode of Bitcoin Talk, everyone. In today's episode, we will be talking about Bitcoin scaling. Now, what to expect in this episode? In this episode, I will explain to you guys what the scalability trilemma is, or in short, what people frequently declare or point at in regards to problems with blockchain or security. And it's basically what you're seeing here, this image on screen. I'll get deeper into it. Next up, focusing afterwards on the scalability trilemma, so defining what it is, what it entails, etc. We'll be exploring a variety of scaling solutions already implemented on Bitcoin. Now, why this focus on Bitcoin scaling? Well, all has to do with reoccurring FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, fake news, in regards to the scaling solutions or scaling with Bitcoin. This is a dedicated episode, especially done to debunk the myth. So people who came here with the idea that I will be strengthening the idea that there is indeed a scalability problem, sorry guys. Now, what I will admit is there are a variety of limitations. However, the FUD will be getting debunked here. So yeah, let us begin with this episode. As you guys can tell, I'm not really all too well prepared due to lack of professional teams here. So it's unscripted. What you see on screen is what I've researched and come up with to explain to you guys. So if mistakes are made or if you guys have questions, please put them in the comments. I will answer them afterwards. If your question wasn't treated, no worries. Just reply on Twitter in the responses, or reach out on DM through the various social media I am on. So not be hesitant to reach out. Now, let us begin. I'm going to do a quick peek here. Okay, that's fine. And up here, everything is fine as well. So let us begin with the scalability trilemma to explain what it is. And really, everything is being said here with the image you are seeing on screen. Now, what does it mean? Well, it is a so-called problem which is brought forth ever since blockchain and a variety of altcoins, with a special big focus on Ethereum, has come to the forefront and said, look, there are problems with Bitcoin, there are problems in regards to blockchain technology. There are limitations. What are those limitations? Well, as you can see on screen here, they say, and this is the FUD which has become general and actually should be applied to all cryptocurrency, though many are biased and, well, they frequently mirror it towards Bitcoin. Anyway, so you've got the 3 pointers: security, scalability, and decentralization. And they say there's an interrelation between the 3. Which one? Well, pretty easy. If you are a developer and you say, look, I'm going to create my own blockchain with my own cryptocurrency, you will need to focus on these 3 aspects. But there's a correlation, an interconnection between the 3 that is being stated here in the image and what Ethereum and the FUD is all about. Say, look, if you want a really, really, really secure blockchain, well, you will well, you can develop one, but scalability will be affected in the sense that if something becomes very, very secure, you won't be able to scale in the future. That's basically what this is saying. At the same time, if you want something very, very secure, it also means things become more centralized, meaning decentralization takes a back seat. At the same time, if you say, look, I want a chain which is scalable, this image or the FUD says, okay, that's entirely possible. It means you will have security taking a small backseat, though it can still be secure, but not as secure as if you had the entire focus on security. Meaning that with scalability, you can have a decentralized network, as you can see here in the triangle, so become more decentralized, but security is taking a backseat. Your chain becomes less secure. If you say, look, I'm going all in on decentralization, well, they say, okay, scalability is feasible, but security-wise, you will have problems. That's basically what this image is saying. And that's the so-called scalability trilemma. Now, I've taken it really into extreme. There are a variety of people who are saying, well, you shouldn't be seeing it as fixed as I put it out here to be. It is more of a spectrum whereby inside a triangle you can have a variety of cryptocurrencies, whereby you say, look, mine's, for example, here, I'm going to mirror it on both screens, but there where the magnifying glass is, you say, look, it's more decentralized, but it's still capable of scalability while it is secure, but secure that is less secure than expected. But you see, they say it is a spectrum, but the gist remains the same. What I'm saying is there's only a small grain of truth to the scalability trilemma. But in general terms, my proper opinion, and you guys might make questions about that, my general opinion is this trilemma is non-existent. And Bitcoin itself is the prime example why it is bullshit. By reason, well, scalability trilemma, like I said, it has been introduced by Ethereum. They have a certain business model where it concerns their chain. Not going to get deeper into that. And they launched this as a little bit of FUD against Bitcoin because, well, like most altcoins, they want to have Bitcoin's place to be the biggest, the first, the most valuable chain and cryptocurrency around. So FUD like the scalability trilemma has been introduced. Like I said, there's only a small grain of truth about it, but in general, it is mostly BS. The reason, well, all has to do with the word here I'm highlighting, scalability. Now, what should be understood about scalability? With scalability, it can occur on a number of levels. Very, very generally spoken, scalability is having the, what's the proper word in English again? Well, is having the aspect that something can become bigger over time, that it can adjust and adapt. Scalability, mostly in blockchain technology, has to do with more intensive network usage without having any downtimes, without having any negative aspects. That's very generally spoken. Now, why am I putting it this way? Well, like I said, it has to do with Ethereum launching this trilemma, which has been copied by numerous other cryptocurrencies and altcoins in order to justify their use case and justify them being, between brackets, better than Bitcoin. But with scalability, there's one important aspect which is frequently put on the sideline, and that's the matter of use case. You see, Bitcoin has a very straightforward use case. It is, and I'm quoting the title of the white paper here, because it is all saying and all explaining, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Sole purpose, its sole use case is that of digital money. Plain and simple. Now, what we have here with Ethereum and plenty of other altcoins, well, they have a variety of use cases. Ethereum in the very, very beginning, and this is a part of history not many people know about, is that Ethereum began as a direct competitor to Bitcoin. But very soon after, they switched gears. By reason, they understood that Bitcoin would remain the bigger one, that it would remain the more secure and the more supported network that is around. However, they switched gears and started doing what they do now, and they became a DApp platform, a decentralized application development platform. And quite frankly, Binance, Tron, and other variety of other altcoins actually do the same thing. Now, what you need to understand here is the difference in use case. You see, Bitcoin remained peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Each and every update which has taken place up to this date has still to do with Bitcoin being digital currency. That's its main use case. Binance and Ethereum, on the other hand, they started spreading out. They started getting more data intensive. And this is where the topic of scalability came in. You see, Ethereum started not only as a dApp development platform, they started attracting Web3 applications, so interconnectivity with a variety of other chains. They started with introducing NFTs, non-fungible tokens. They started with meme coins to build upon the platform, which is interconnected towards their main chain, etc., etc., etc. To cut things short, everything was about data. And this is what the scalability issue and the scalability trilemma is about. Smart data management. And that's why I'm doing this Bitcoin scaling topic here, because one of the other third, which is directly derived from the scalability trilemma, is that people are saying Bitcoin cannot scale. Whereas I will be saying here, Bitcoin is scaling, has been scaling, and has been improved over time, which is also debunking another myth that Bitcoin code hasn't changed over the years. We'll be focusing on the two major league updates Bitcoin has underwent in the past 8 to 10 years. But for the simple reason, all coming down to this, all coming down to smart data management. Let's begin with the very first update that Bitcoin underwent, which is what the hell is this? Sorry, guys. On the Twitter stream, I'm going to refresh the page. There we go. So the very first update here, both screens are now showing the same thing, is SegWit, or segregated witness. What is SegWit about? On screen, you see here an entire explanation. There is a high probability, I'm going to read with you, there is a high probability that Bitcoin users will come across the term SegWit sooner or later when choosing the address format, discussing the block size, or simply cheaper transaction fees. Now getting around to segregated witness update, which was activated on the network on August 24th, 2017, about 7 to 8 years. The article is slightly outdated, about 8 years ago. We'll be discussing and seeing how this works. Now, I'm not going to get all too technical here. It will be just a mentioning and showing you guys how it came to be. And how it came to be, well, everything relies back on the block size wars. 2017, Bitcoin world was indeed a different place. Long-standing discussion about increasing maximum block size and a general question of how and whether the Bitcoin network could scale in the future divided the community into heated camps, while the proponents of increasing the block size were convinced that there was no other way for Bitcoin to establish itself as a functioning means of payment. Small blockers took a more cautious approach, and in addition to the actual question of block size, also gave a legitimate thought to how such a critical intervention in the Bitcoin protocol could be securely implemented and above all activated. Now, block size wars. In a previous live stream episode, I mentioned and went deeper into the block size wars. And the block size wars is, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, all having to do with the scalability trilemma, or the crypto or the blockchain trilemma, whatever you want to call it, and refers back towards said scalability. It is an idea, like I said, launched by Ethereum in the very, very beginning, all having to do of looking into the future and how the network will develop. And with the SegWit update, well, as you guys can see, it relates back towards scalability and how transactions are going to be saved on the Bitcoin network. And there were a few proposals. First one was segregated witness, or SegWit. The other one, here as highlighted in the block size war text, they said there were two camps. You had SegWit on one hand. On the other hand, you had the so-called big blockers, who Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV community. Bitcoin SV community came much later on, but this was with Roger Ver, who was a big fan of increasing block size. It divided the community. There were people who were against it, and there were people who said, let's do it. Now, for those who have seen my video on big blocks and why it is a whole lot of BS, here's a little synopsis. In the end, SegWit was implemented, and there was a fork called Bitcoin Cash with a bigger block size, which failed. We have to be brutally honest here. Now, let's continue about SegWit. Bitcoin developers Peter Woolley, Jason Law, and Eric Lombroso proposed an elegant compromise with SegWit. Firstly, because they tried to accommodate a large blockers with an indirectly increased block size, and secondly, because they were able to achieve a few other improvements and kill several birds with one stone. All this with the help of a soft fork. It has the restriction of the rules, which is the method of first choice, especially with such a controversial rule change. Now, this is true. Bitcoin block size has increased. If you guys saw my video on ordinals and runes, you would have seen that we had in 2023 the very first 4 megabyte block made on the Bitcoin network. It was 3.96 megabyte ordinal, which has been minted on the Bitcoin blockchain back in the day, which actually proved that the very first full block, 4 megabyte full block, could be made. However, luckily, we are currently much, much lower in block size, but still. Now, segregated witness is a cryptographic. In the cryptographic context, the term witness generally refers to the data that's also a cryptographic task in some way. In the context of Bitcoin, this usually refers to digital signatures that are required to prove ownership of a private key and to issue Bitcoin. All of this data, which we will simply refer to as witness in the following, is actually contained directly in the corresponding transaction and therefore also contributes to the maximum block size of 1 megabyte. As the name suggests, SegWit simply outsources this data and stores it separately elsewhere. It is not in the actual block. You can think of it like a tag. However, it should first be made clear that SegWit is not a change to the content, but initially only to the architecture of structure of transactions. After all, the outsourced data, yada, 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 witness discounts. Not going to get further into it. As you guys can see on blocktrainer.de, you can find the entire technical laydown of it. What is important here is block management, or more precisely, data management in the Bitcoin blocks. What kind of data management? Well, everything having to do with transactions. And I'm going to show you guys here. The next slide. Did I forget a little link? Yeah, I forgot one. Anyway, so we'll be having two different. Sorry, I'm checking something out here. Lightning. Nope. I indeed forgot a little. Anyway, well, both images, I'm going to put them all together. So on both platforms, you have the same view. Now, what do we have here? This is a little schematic on how blocks were before SegWit and afterwards. So first block on the left up corner is a non-SegWit block. You had in pink the signature, yellow transaction, green another transaction. Why two different colors? Well, can be Coinbase issued reward, can be small transaction, can be a big transaction, can be a transaction, what's the word again? Put together an, God damn it. Sorry. A coin join, that's the word I was looking for. And each and every transaction has a signature, which is shown in green on the screen. Now, what does SegWit do? This one comes in. They say, look, we are going to add tags to the transactions. A little referral saying, look, we're going to save up block space. And from here on out, you need to understand how transactions are being saved onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And you need to understand that a transaction is a hash. It is, well, a line of code, hexadecimal code. And that code can be divided in a variety of aspects, meaning you have a part of it which indicates a transaction, a part of it which indicates the signature of the signee, and a part of it refers back to previous transactions with private keys, etc., etc. This is indicated on, sadly enough, the other page here that I'm showing on YouTube currently. On Twitter currently. I'm going to see if I can. Yeah, no, I'm going to leave it like that. Now, basically, you have the block header transaction. In the transaction is the sender's public key, which is hashed and signed with the receiver's key or something like it. Now, what's happening here? With SegWit, they're going to separate it. And as you can see here in the other image, by separating the signature, you get more block space, meaning you are saving data inside the blocks, meaning you can make more transactions within the same block. By reason you are separating the signature from the transactions. And it might be a hash of a few numbers, but if you have thousands of transactions, that might actually add up to several hundreds of kilobytes of data. Now, it doesn't look much, as I say it this way, but do remember, we are still dealing with 1 megabyte blocks here. So that's about 1/100th of the space being cleared up by separating the signature. Do realize I'm talking about 2017 here, so about 2 cycli ago. Important to remember. So signature has been separated, and this allows for more transactions to take place. At the same time, as mentioned in 2017, block size has been increased towards 4 megabyte, which means that not only from the original blocks you cleared up about 10% of block space. I'm being very generous. Well, very to put it, very cautious here, because it might have been more depending on network activity. The exact numbers I do not have, but I'm going to say 10% is a good deal of the original 1 megabyte block space being freed up. However, at the same time as the soft fork occurred, SegWit was introduced, we had the introduction of 4 megabyte blocks. So you can immediately see the amount of transactions that can take place, the amount of data that now can be stored per block has had a significant increase already, especially when compared to the previous. So with the 4 megabyte blocks, you had an almost increase of capacity of 400%, but in reality, it's 410 due to SegWit. Not the exact numbers. I'm not really pulling them out of my arse here, but it is fact. It increased the data that could be stored per block. It increased capacity by simply dividing the hash. Now, is that immediately taproot? Yeah, okay. So yeah, we saved up block space. This is already something that scales. It allows for more data to be saved on Bitcoin. However, the maximalist in me and many other people with me still retain to, will still refer to the Bitcoin's white paper title. Yeah, sorry. Checking things out here at the same time. So anyway, this was the first, I'm going to say, scaling which occurred on Bitcoin. So it increased the capacity easily by a 4-fold. Before that, we only had maximum blocks of 1 megabyte. So now it's times 4 times more data. This is a very significant development in Bitcoin's history. The first development which already debunks that Bitcoin cannot scale, Bitcoin could has never seen any significant updates. This is one of the very big firsts. Now, some years later, we are introduced towards the second big update. Shortly, I'm going to say development became after SegWit. And this one is called Taproot. What is Taproot? Well, Taproot is an upgrade which became available. I'm not going to say available, but could be implemented in thanks to SegWit. And its history begins, that's why I'm showing you the timeline here, January 23rd in 2018. About a year, maybe less, after SegWit was implemented. You can see here Taproot proposal, core Taproot implementation, and the entire timeline on when it occurred. We've got test phase. There were pull requests back in the day, so you can see that even at Bitcoin Core, there was heavy debate. After all, 2017 occurred, and we had 2 warring camps, 2 forks which occurred. You had the SegWit, and at the same time, you had Bitcoin Cash, the big blockers, who went their own way. So community was still divided. However, Taproot was eventually activated and implemented on June 12, 2021. What is the Taproot upgrade? Let's dig deeper. So, proposed by Gregory Maxwell, appreciated for implementation. Upgrade switches the way signatures are handled on Bitcoin network. If implemented, the current epileptic curve digital signature algorithm will be solved with a Schnorr signature scheme with MAST, Merkleized alternative script tree, and a new scripting language called TapScript. Put simply, the upgrade allows a set of multiple digital signatures to be combined into one, which reduces the load of the network. Consequently, it also reduces the fees and duration of each transaction. Since multiple transactions are packaged together, the number of participants and their identities can also be better hidden. Altogether, Taproot should make the Bitcoin network more secure and private for everyone involved. When it's implemented, it will be the most significant alteration to core Bitcoin network since segregated witness was adopted in 2017. Advantages of the upgrade: for implementation, transactions were relatively slow because each digital signature was validated against a public key, as could be seen in the previous image I have shown you guys on Twitter. Now, Taproot allows the network to bunch multiple digital signatures together and validate them simultaneously. Duplicating signatures has another essential benefit: privacy. With multiple signatures, all them together, it becomes much harder to distinguish individual users' signatures and transactions. Enhanced privacy lives up to Bitcoin's core tenet of self-sovereignty, while also enhancing the network's security. And with that, we had the three big aspects of Bitcoin scalability, of the scalability trilemma, fixed thanks to Taproot: privacy, decentralization, and security, meaning it's a big improvement. So another benefit of the upgrade is allowing smart contracts on Bitcoin's network. Myself, in my opinion, it's not really a benefit because it allowed ordinals and runes to take place, which to me is a bad thing to have occurred. Luckily, mempool is now cleared and the hype seems to have been gone. Less ordinals, so Bitcoin NFTs are being created. There's just the runes spam, though I have the impression that one as well is slowing down already. The Ethereum network is widely considered to be the dominant platform for smart contracts and decentralized applications because that's their use case. Bitcoin is not a dApp development platform, plain and simple. So that's because complex smart contracts require more space for data on the blockchain, and Bitcoin's network isn't well suited to this in its current form. I'm going to refer back at the beginning of this video whereby I said you need to take a closer look at scalability. Everything hinges on use case. For Bitcoin, its main use case, which at all times will be and should be respected, is that of being a peer-to-peer digital currency, electronic cash system. My apologies, I effed up the white paper title. So a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, that's what it is geared to. So comparing it towards the Ethereum network is actually a brain fart. Why? The Ethereum network pretty early on said we are a dApp development platform. Bitcoin isn't that. It is digital currency. Final point. Exclamation mark. Done. Taproot upgrade reduces the amount of space required on each block, which could finally bring more smart contracts and decentralized finance applications to Bitcoin. Like I said, not a fan. And though the upgrade took place and we had ordinals and runes, and it did occur, my stance remains: Bitcoin is peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This DeFi and all smart contract applications and app development has no place on Bitcoin. Hashtag fix the filters. Anyway, this is a very simplified text highlighting what Taproot is. However, I've got a little image ready for you which explains it all. And I've got both images. So what's this? Tweaking the public key. Basically, they're saying, look, we're dividing it up. You've got tweaked public key, which is the address. Original public key requires 2 of 2 multi, normal looking transaction, #1, #2, so 32 bytes, hash. Put it together, you've got a Merkle root hash, which is being added to the tweaked public key. I have another image which makes it even more simple. What's the benefit of the Taproot upgrade? To put it in very simple terms, with SegWit, we separated the signatures from the main transaction hash. We put a little tag on it and said it refers towards that data. Okay, because it was done in that way, It also implies we can begin to combine a variety of keys. And this is what we're seeing here on the image, on the schematic, where it concerns the benefits for the Taproot upgrade. You've got Bob's keys, Claire's keys, Dave's key, all put together as a multi-signature, and you have an aggregated key. Each one is 32 bytes in size, so 32, 64, 96 bytes, combined into a multisig of 32, which frees up plenty of space. Again, practically doing the same thing which occurred with SegWit. Remember, with SegWit, we said we're going to put a tag on the transaction from the signee, so Bob's, Claire's, or Dave's key, whatever, and we save it elsewhere, but we leave a little tag referring back to it. Now with Taproot, they're saying, okay, we've got that data, we've got multiple keys, we're going to improve the size of the transactions which are going to be signed, but as well save up on space by making a hashed key, meaning we are going to combine the tags and create a multi-signature, which results in an aggregated key, which frees up block space again. Now, why is this very handy? And I'm going to refer to something very simple. Coinbase, the exchange, not a reward. So Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, Bitvavo, a variety of exchanges have plenty of ingoing and outgoing transactions. Transactions which would have been saved directly one-on-one on the Bitcoin blockchain. If each time a signee with SegWit, there was a block reduction, but still those exchanges had plenty of transactions ongoing, which took up more space than anything else. Now with the Taproot upgrade, we know that instead of signing each time with their own key with each and every transaction, they could say in, let's say, one transaction, I think, okay, that's divided there, and they just aggregate one key from their wallets. So instead of 5 different signs per block that Coinbase had to sign, they say, nope, one signature, 5 transactions due to the aggregated key, and done. This implies we have less data in the blocks present. How much? Well, when Taproot was introduced, and that's a number I retained, up from about 25% up to 50% of block space could be saved in thanks to Taproot. So, meaning, well, it scales. More data room is available in the blocks once again. Like I said, with SegWit, due to the increase of block size and the introduction of a segregated witness, so of mentioning the tag and not each and every time, including in the transaction has the signee itself, its signature, because it was saved afterwards. There we already had about 410% increase of data for the Bitcoin network. It became more efficient. With this, once again, on top of it, 25 up to 50%, it became more efficient. Those are very big movements. It allows for more data to be stored. Now, sadly enough, and we have to be honest here, like we said with the Taproot upgrade, which occurred, sorry, is the other tab. It allows for smart contracts to be deployed. We had the runes and ordinals mess which came about, which actually took up more block space. And that's the next step in line that needs to be fixed. We need to fix those filters that ordinals and runes cannot take place. By reason, the combination of SegWit and Taproot prove that Bitcoin is in continuous development and it isn't old code or outdated database. No, it is modern. It is being updated. Bitcoin is scaling with its use as peer-to-peer electronic cash system in mind. What we have with ordinals and runes is a bug, plain and simple. It's something which needs to be stamped out. And that's one of the reasons, and actually the sad part where it concerns the Taproot upgrade, because back in the day when it was activated, I was celebrating because I saw the increase of efficiency in the network, in the Bitcoin network. The amount of transactions that could be stored safely was increased, but I didn't foresee the creation of ordinals and runes, which is important towards this upgrade. If I had known what would have occurred, I'm going to be honest, I would have voted against the Taproot upgrade on the condition that the smart contracts and DeFi applications were hindered, plain and simple. It can still be done in a next update, but as with all things concerning the Bitcoin network, it must be done through consensus, so proposals need to be made, people need to vote, and that's mostly node runners or miners which will get that vote. So yeah, that's what's occurring. Now, as you guys can see here on screen, not all my tabs are finished. And the reason is, at this point, I've been mostly talking about scaling solutions or upgrades within the Bitcoin network, which respected its decentralization, its security, and allowed for scaling of the network directly onto main chain. However, and that's something that Ethereum and plenty of other dApp development platforms introduced, is scaling through L2s. And with that said, L2s, what are they? Plain and simple layer 2s, built upon the chains. And actually, for Bitcoin, it exists for quite a while. We have the Lightning Network. Now, is the Lightning Network? Very briefly said, it is a network built upon the Bitcoin blockchain. It is in part in thanks to Taproot as well. This is probably one of the very few solutions I could get behind. It allows for instant payments. So why was Lightning Network created? Well, Bitcoin has been under scrutiny by plenty of other altcoins who said, yeah, the 10-minute block time, which is to be respected, makes it not very fit for commercial use. I disagree with that, but in any case, a few geniuses created the Lightning Network. And what does it do? Well, to put it very simply, to increase the output and make it more worthwhile, they created a network on top of Bitcoin, which makes transactions go instantly fast. Okay, like indicated here on screen, instant payments. Let's just read through it. Lightning fast blockchain payments without worrying about block confirmation times. Security is enforced by blockchain smart contracts without creating an on-blockchain transaction for individual payments. Payment speed measured in milliseconds to seconds. How do they do so? Very easily put through. I don't think I have a... I have the schemes here. Nice. On that account, we are going to show it here. Lightning Network, multi-signature wallet, Lightning Network layer 2, Bitcoin blockchain layer 2. Yeah, I'm a bit confused. Seems as if I've had two different schemes here, but it's not the case. So it is an L2. Now, what happens is there's the creation of a payment channel. And that's probably one of the disadvantages of the Lightning Network, is that there's a creation of custodians through those channels. But it allows for direct payments to occur between users through a multi-signature wallet. And Afterwards, those channels, and what are channels do I have? Forgot to put that one in. Anyway, let's get back to the previous slide. I'm going to try to slightly technical, but I will try to translate it into something more plain English. So, decentralized network using smart contract functionality in the blockchain to enable instant payments across a network of participants. Very plainly, easily put, this is in thanks to the Taproot update. Now, Lightning Network is dependent upon the underlying technology of the blockchain by using real Bitcoin blockchain transactions and using its native smart contract scripting language. It is possible to create a secure network of participants which are able to transact at high speed and at high volume and high speed. Okay. Bidirectional payment channels to participants create a ledger entry on the blockchain which require both participants to sign off on any spending of funds. Both parties create transactions which refund the ledger entry to the individual allocation, but do not broadcast them to the blockchain. They can update their individual allocations for the ledger entry by creating many transactions spending from the current ledger entry output. Only the most recent version is valid, which is enforced by blockchain parsable smart contracting scripting. The entry can be closed at any time by either party without any trust or custodianship by broadcasting the most recent version to the blockchain. Basically, it's a blockchain upon a blockchain. There is a direct payment channel, meaning between two users. In fact, the first lines here is basically what occurs when you make a transaction. You have two participants creating a ledger entry, can occur on main chain, which require both participants to sign off on any spending of funds. It's a basic transaction, people. Both parties create transactions which refund the ledger entry to the individual allocation. This is the more technical part. Basically, it says, look, a payment channel is created, so a transaction between both the sender and the receiver. But instead of doing it directly on chain with a hash, they're saying, no, it's being done on a newly created wallet between brackets, whereby the transactions on set L2 are being updated to show you the balance for both, so for the sender and the receiver. And that's the direct channel which occurs. And that ledger keeps being updated on an L2, on set layer 2 on the Lightning Network, yada, 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 yada. And by, well, that's the second part here, by creating a network of these two-party ledger entries, it is possible to find a path across the network similar to routing packets on the internet. Nodes along the path are not trusted, as the payment is enforced using a script which enforces the atomicity that the entire payment succeeds or fails via decrement time locks. Basically meaning you've got person A, you've got person B, and it is looking for the fastest way that the transaction can occur. That's what Lightning Network does. How does it do so? Well, it makes use of the Bitcoin network. It looks at all available nodes, and it will find a way with the active nodes, which is the fastest between the two. Say, for example, I'm sitting here on my chair, and I need to be with my friend somewhere in here in Belgium, in Brussels, for example. I've got a few routes that I can take. Now, what I'm doing is, well, at first with Bitcoin main chain, what would I do? Well, I would take a route that I'm familiar with. It might not be the fastest, but it's a route that I know of, and a variety of people can see what I'm doing. Now, what does the Lightning Network do? They say, okay, you want to visit your friend in Brussels? Okay, here's ways, giving you the fastest time to travel from your point towards your friend. That's basically what the Lightning Network does. It speeds up transactions on an L2. Transaction itself eventually will be saved onto main chain. But the L2 says, no, you know what? This is the fastest route, you go that way. You've got your confirmations, everything's fine and dandy, the end result remains the same. Transaction occurs, but transaction itself will appear on main chain later on. Within Lightning Network, because it is decentralized and makes use of the Bitcoin network, it is automatically confirmed. That's basically what the Lightning Network does. It is like using Waze or any other GPS system with updated information on traffic, telling you go that way, that way, that way, that way, that way. That's the fastest route you can go. In itself, it is more efficient transactions on the Lightning Network, which will be saved back towards the Bitcoin mainnet, which is basically what most layer 2s do. They refer back towards main chain, but they have their very own chain whereby all transactions are being saved. The difference here with Lightning Network, there's no central entity, so this is also node supported with true Lightning nodes whereby it occurs. With afterwards a transference towards the Bitcoin main chain nodes, etc., etc. Not going to get all too technical. That's basically what Lightning Network does. It is an L2. It speeds up Bitcoin transactions through an L2, through a second layer solution. Why am I mentioning this? Well, plenty of altcoins, and I'm even going to mention Ethereum and Binance, but especially Ethereum, are saying, look, we've got much quicker confirmation times for transactions where it concerns our network. And they can speed it up and lessen their transaction fees by making use of L2s, of layer 2s. Lightning Network is practically the same principle. And there are naysayers who are telling us, yeah, but Lightning Network, it is a failed network, yada, 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 yada. By reason, it debunks the use case of their altcoin. I'm going to directly say it here. Nano, for example, marches more or less in the same way like the Lightning Network does. So they're bashing onto Bitcoin and saying, yeah, it's slow if it's 10-minute block time and the transaction output, yada, 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 yada. But the very second you say, yes, but we have an L2, which is called Lightning Network, which more or less functions the same way as Nano does, well, at that point, they'll shut down, the insults will start. Just by reason, it is a scaling solution, which makes the raison d'être, their reason to be, invalid, devoid. And they attack the Lightning Network and say, yeah, it's failed, it doesn't work, and you have custody, yada, 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 yada. The same thing happens with Nano. Lightning Network, in a sense, works the same way as they do. So you can see where some of the hate comes by. And like I said, most of the FUD they will be sharing is like, oh yeah, but Bitcoin cannot scale. Segwit, Taproot, those are very recent examples how Bitcoin can scale. Lightning Network is an L2, but it is Bitcoin still built upon. See how it goes? Now another one, another L2, which isn't as efficient as Lightning Network, is the Liquid Network. Now Liquid Network, I'm going to mention it because more and more are people referring to it as a competitor towards Lightning Network, whereas I will be saying, no, it isn't. Like it is being set here on screen, federated Bitcoin sidechain and layer 2 solution interoperable with Lightning that enables faster, more confidential Bitcoin transactions and issuance of exchange, yada, 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 yada. I'm not very eager to call them on the same level as a scaling solution for Bitcoin, not on the same level as Lightning Network does. Lightning Network is the true L2 layer which speeds up transactions. Liquid Network is, in a certain sense, an altcoin built upon the Bitcoin network. With Lightning Network, you are still dealing with factual Bitcoin. Up here, you are dealing with a layer 2 with its own native coin, Liquid Bitcoin. So launched in 2018, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get deeper into it, but this as well might be a scaling solution. I'm mentioning this because this one is Bitcoin based. Meaning that due to the Taproot update with the smart contract capabilities, things like this, the Liquid network could be built. I'm referring back towards Runes because other meme coins exist in thanks to that Taproot upgrade. This is approximately on the same level. It is an L2 indeed. It will save data on the Bitcoin main chain in one form or another. Back in the day, I know I've looked deeper into it, but I forgot most about it by the simple reason it isn't Bitcoin. Plain and simple. It is an L2 called Liquid, which from time to time saves data onto Bitcoin main chain. But it is the same principle as, for example, wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum. It is going to make use of custodial services with smart contracts, pegging one-on-one with the safe Bitcoin held in custody. But for all intents and purposes, you are not dealing with this kind of L2 with actual Bitcoin. You will be dealing with wrapped versions of Bitcoin. You will be dealing with a native token, not Bitcoin itself, which is fundamentally different from the Lightning network, whereby you are dealing with sats or satoshis with actual Bitcoin. And with that, because I'm already hitting 1 hour, I'm going to slowly close the live stream. I'm going to check out if there are any questions here. In the chat. So let's see. So no further comments. That's fine for me. And with that, guys, I'm going to say thank you guys for watching, and up until next time. So after this live stream, should you have any other questions, please feel free to share them with me, reach out in my DMs on various social media. With that, thank you guys for watching, and